So let's check this out. The first one is a rant about fan fiction. Oh my gosh. We'll check out. This is from Dingo. And the only message they left was stare. So, let's see. I'll set up a timer. It's 20 minutes per thing. Where is it? 20 minutes. Alright. Then, 1, 2, 3. I read so much dojin. Dojinshi. It's fan-made comics. And I tend to like fan-made comics more than fan-written stories. I did go through an AO3 phase, a very, very short AO3 phase. I think it was mostly checking out it was a very weird time for me. I know I read so much fan fiction, but they're all blurring together now, and off the top of my head, I remember reading BTS and a bit of, oh gosh, what was it? A bit of Homestuck, and what was that other one? It was My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia specifically because Dingo recommended the story, but that story specifically killed a canon character, and I said, nope. I read fan fiction to escape from the tragedy of reality. What do you mean the fan fiction is even sadder than the canon work? No. So yeah, I believe that was the only My Hero Academia fan fiction I've ever read. But I've read so much Homestuck fanfiction. I've read a bit of BTS fanfiction. It was back during the time when they were releasing these music videos that the fandom was racking their brains, trying to connect, trying to piece together one by one, like every single element of every single music video, of every single like photo shoot. They'd pick apart like detectives, like freaking what was that detective? Sherlock Holmes. They were making this entire story about the 7 boys going through like all this bad stuff, and I think it was only Jungkook who was really sad about what his Hyungs were doing. Hi, Sticker. And I was just such a sucker for all the. It was the same storyline. It was the same plot. They were all reaching for the same like symbolisms, the butterflies, the broken bottles, the haircut, and I was just a sucker for it. I ate it up so much. But yeah, after a bit, I started losing concentration and I wasn't able to read walls of text as well as I used to. And so then I started like gravitating closer to comics. I've always read comics, manhwa, Chinese, Korean, Western, Japanese, definitely. So when I couldn't read in AO3 format fan fiction anymore, the most natural progression was that I gravitated toward dojinshi, fan comics. Sometimes even just sketches from artists, like heck, even AUs without any text whatsoever. It was just a concept. It was just art. Homestuck was such a gateway for me with AUs. Aside for all the AO3 back then, it also had so much artistic leeway for its fandom. Like there were so many alternate universes for that fandom, and I think that's what made me realize like canon isn't the end all be all. We like all of your favorite characters can so easily have that meet cute coffee shop AU, can have that family AU, can have that rare pair ship, and aside for always, and although I do still lean toward what's canon will be what I lean toward. I think that growing up with so many alternate universes and such a creative fandom made me super open-minded to like rare pairs, to like situationships, to alternate universes, to that entire realm of possibilities. And I think what's really great about fan fiction is that the writers still, at some level, abide by a certain level of rules. They don't have to come up with their own rules on the spot from scratch, so to say, like they would creating their own original story. For example, if you're making, since stickers in chat that my brain is leaning toward there, if you're making like a Sino alternate universe, there's still gonna be like a set amount of rules. Sino's still gonna be making puns. He's still gonna be like a pseudo Batman. He's still gonna be very misunderstood. That's gonna be an entire premise. But you get to his closest friends. Maybe in your alternate universe he's still best friends with Tainari. He still knows Kale. He still works with Al-Haytham. He still works for Nahida. And that close knit relationship would still have that bond, that chemistry, and they'd still have that witticism to them when they talk. So when we get Hoyo Fair which is it's everything just goes back to Hoyo. When we get Hoyo Fair and we see all these characters we all know and love in canon, it put in these situations that are so outside of canon, like I am all for it. I am eating that up. I am lapping up my plate. Like the detective AUs, the ballroom, like even if there was no quote unquote story to it, they could have just been stills of drawings. They could have all just been wearing different suits for all I care. You can leave it up to the fans to draw upon that and be inspired and take that 1 into an 11. That's something I've always adored with fan fiction, is that inspiration begets inspiration. I remember so much interaction on Tumblr way back when was how writers would interact with artists, and a lot of the time there would be so much back and forth between them, how a written story in AO3 would inspire an artist to draw this magnificent piece, and that would in turn inspire the writer to somehow incorporate it into their story, and that would again in turn inspire the artist to make more artwork, and it's just a never-ending source of inspiration and creativity and just amazing human ingenuity that I cannot for the life of me understand how anyone would decide that anything artificially intelligent created could ever top. Like I have no right to speak because my attention span has gone down the toilet and I can no longer read long forms of text for too long. But if someone's attention span has been so deteriorated to the point that they would opt for artificial intelligence to write their pieces for them, to create their artworks for them, I think they missed a certain level of human ethics to just jump to that easy way out. And don't get me wrong, there are easy ways to write your fan fiction and to draw your fan art. It's called practice. And yes, it's tough. And yes, it takes a while. But that's human ingenuity. That's how people are people. That's how you know a work of art has soul in it. And the sad thing about people who don't see how harmful artificial intelligence is to fan fiction and art in general, whether it be writing, whether it be artwork, whether it be anything that would heal a human soul, is that they probably don't understand how a human functions in a way that is so deep rooted to your emotions, that they have been, I use the term deteriorated so loosely, but I can't think of any other term. We use the word brain rot so easily nowadays, but there is a certain level of deterioration in one's soul that it would affect one's mind and one's decisions, and possibly their comprehension as to what makes art. And I think fan fiction was always one of those things that could be a masterpiece, whether it's made by a top-selling author who just wanted to like write some smut on their downtime, or maybe it was written by a 14-year-old boy who just wanted to experiment on gender normativity and in writing. There is so many ways fan fiction could touch someone that really doesn't care for the source most of the time. It's usually toward the delivery, and most of the time people don't even know the author on a personal level, unless they put down in their author's notes that, hey, sorry, I've been gone for a while, I was in an accident, but now I'm back. You can't get that with AI. And I don't know, there's something so nice about human error that I think is scary if AI is able to replicate that. The misspellings, the confusion between British and English and British and American English, the mismatch of Z's and S's, the way you would mix feet and meters and inches and centimeters and measurements in the same story. I feel like that's something so inherently human, so frustratingly human, that fan fiction is able to get away with. Because when you go for a published piece, like you go to New York Times bestsellers, they go through countless editors, and they go through so much checking that most of the time the authors themselves went through so much classes, so much education to be the writers that they are. They go through so much research. And yes, a lot of fan fiction writers and fan fiction and fan artists do that as well. But you're not really beholden to perfection the way a published author is. Ari, welcome in. Majority of my knowledge of MHA came from fan fiction. I've only ever watched the first season of the show. I watched My Hero Academia until I believe Deku fought with the fire hair dude, and then with the fire ice hair dude, and then they went camping, and that's when I stopped. So I don't really know much. I know that I hate Bakugo. I don't like the bullies. I never liked the bully characters. Yes, research. Bye, Ari. But yeah, I absolutely adore, like, you can use as many tools as you want. Well, that's the point of creation, is that you will be using mediums, whether you're using Microsoft Word or Grammarly or Google Docs to check, and each one of those devices have their own grammar checks, mind you. They have their own, like, artificial intelligence to like detect if your sentences can be worded better. The important part about that is that the sentences first came from you. You don't just input a prompt into ChatGPT telling it to like write me an epic story about a proud man who was lost at sea and wants to return to his wife. Like that, ChatGPT is just gonna regurgitate the Odyssey at you. That doesn't make it your story. That just makes it ChatGPT's regurgitation of the Odyssey. Ah, Grammarly, my Lord and Savior. I was raised by Microsoft Word. Was it legal Microsoft Word? No, you can. I plead the fifth. But Microsoft Word is tried and true, and as many of the updates as was shoved down my throat throughout the years, Microsoft Word is still my way to go. Granted, I haven't written a fanfiction in so long. The most I've ever gotten close to fanfiction is sometimes I think of an AU on the spot, and most of those AUs concern Genshin because that's apparently the only thing in my brain. I forgot whatever I googled for research back then, but I hope they didn't make my FBI very concerned when I was writing something. The amount of times I try to research like bone fractures, blood spillage, like how much teeth does a person lose before they can't talk anymore. Like, I think those are very reasonable curiosities. I don't think I've ever used Microsoft. You've only used Google Docs. Now, Microsoft was the predecessor of online requirements. You download the app, you have that app for the rest of your life. No need to log in to or connect to the interwebs. To say that you use Google Docs means that you needed, at least at the very beginning, you needed internet connection, which we didn't have. It's so expensive. I never said. You know what? I'm not gonna say. Look, if you can download that darn Harry Potter game through legal means, I'm pretty sure you can find a way for Microsoft. You wrote in a notebook, same. I have vandalized so many of my notebooks that should have been used for classes. I have vandalized so many of my books that was very expensive that my parents have worked so hard to pay for, because I was bored out of my mind in classes, and the only thing I can do to escape the white noise that is my class and my teachers and the voices in my head was to sketch everything and anything on those books and notebooks, on the margins, on the front page, on the back page, scribbles, doodles, what have you. You don't have a PC or a laptop. Oh, nowadays we have like notes apps on mobile now, don't we? I don't use those as much. They're a bit iffy. The screen's too small. Don't tell me to use my phone to type. I hate it. I use our school PC. Your school PC doesn't even have Microsoft. I'm still trying to find one specific draft I made in a random notebook when I was daydreaming in class. Ugh. Your school PCs are open for 24/7? Lucky! My school closes at 8 o'clock. The computers in our school closed at like 5 o'clock. I have an entire, like, what do you call those? You know, in those libraries where they have like shelves upon shelves of books? What do you call those things that have the shelves? Library shelves? I have one of those. It's supposed to be for decoration. You're supposed to put like displays on it, like trophies, or no, not the library itself. The shelves in the library. You know, the ones where you put like books on them. Are they just called shelves? I have one of those, and it's supposed to be for decoration. Okay, it's just called shelves. It's supposed to be for decoration. It has a lot of odd placements, a lot of misshapen squares. And it's supposed to be for display pieces, trophies, medals, certificates, all that jazz. I've stored nearly 2 decades of whatever sketchbooks and notebooks I could salvage, and it's just gathering dust. A rack? Sure. Like, to this day, the sketch pads, the sketchbooks, the notebooks, the notepads, the man-handled, ramshackle, tied together, staplered scotch tape paper are just gathering dust. A display cabinet. Oh, that's the term. I believe that. Yeah, let's call it that. It was supposed to be a display cabinet. Now it's just a bunch of paper piled on top of each other. gathering dust, and I'm kind of scared to clean it because I feel like I do one wrong move and I'm gonna rip apart like 12-year-old me's masterpiece. 12-year-old me was doing her best. It was not great, but it was her best. In terms of my contribution to fanfiction, I had a lot of Steven Universe, a lot of Ladybug, the one with the main girl named Marinette, and so much of Homestuck. And that's 20 minutes. Neat. I think that was great. We're doing great.